Hello everyone, welcome to Anuj Jindal Lottin. Today we are going to talk about PIB and business newspaper analysis for 11th to 15th March 2018. This lecture is going to be helpful for people aspiring for RBI Grade B 2018, NABARD A and B 2018 as well as UPSC examination 2018. A lot of information is factual in what I'm going to discuss today, and UPSC aspirants might feel that it's not important for them. And yes, it is not very important for them, but there is at the same time a lot of conceptual knowledge also that I'm going to provide. And factual information is specifically going to be very, very helpful for RBI and NABARD aspirants. So let's start with the lecture. We are going to talk about certain bills which have been approved by the cabinet for introduction in the parliament. They might be amended in the future, they might not have any amendments in the future, and therefore it's important that we go through these bills as they have occurred, as they have been approved for introduction in the parliament, so that we are able to retain more, remember more if they come in the examination. The first one is Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2018. Now there are three important provisions related to this bill. The purpose of this bill is to encourage institutional arbitration so that the cases that we have, pending cases that we have in the litigation area, in the courts, in the judiciary of our country reduces significantly. Therefore, we need to make institutional arbitration much more attractive for parties involved in certain kind of issues, certain kind of cases. What are the features for this bill? Number one, parties may now directly approach arbitral institutions which have been designated by the Supreme Court for international commercial arbitration. And second is you create an independent body which will be called as Arbitration Council of India, which will grade these arbitral institutions. So this is the Supreme Court that we have. With the Supreme Court is going to designate certain number of arbitral institutions, and these arbitral institutions are going to be graded by Arbitration Council of India. So ACI is going to grade or rate these arbitral institutions over a period of time so that you can differentiate between a good arbitral institution from a bad arbitral institution. It is proposed to amend section 1 of section 29A, not important, by excluding international arbitration from the bounds of timeline. So international commercial arbitration is not excluded from arbitral institutions, but the bounds of timeline have been excluded for international arbitrations. A new section 42B protects an arbitrator from suit or other legal proceedings. So people who are going to sit in these arbitral institutions are going to be protected from any kind of suit or legal proceedings for the actions or for the decisions that he takes in good faith in the course of any arbitration. And an arbitral award for not an international, for a domestic commercial arbitration or any other domestic arbitration is 12 months from completion of pleadings of the parties or whatever the parties have to say. So this is a timeline that you need to remember. This is very, very important for the examination. International arbitration has been kept out of timeline, time bound decision making, and these are the other features: creation of an independent arbitration council of India, which will grade arbitral institutions and all these things. So this is important for both UPSC as well as RBI and NABARD aspirants. Some more things about Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill or the Act underlying that bill. Now we saw in RBI especially last year that a lot of things which are old with respect to government schemes had been asked, and therefore it's important that we have an awareness, a basic awareness about the starting point and the movement of important news items from their origin to the present scenario. So the Arbitration and Conciliation Act was passed in the year 1996, and in 2015 an amendment act was passed. In 2015 itself, a high level committee under Justice B.H. Sri Krishna was created, and it had made certain recommendations. Now whatever we discussed above, whatever has been decided by the cabinet recently, is based on the recommendations of this committee under the chairmanship of B.H. Sri Krishna. So what are the kinds of questions that can be asked? Number one, the passing of this act, the year can be asked. Such questions have been asked specifically in RBI, even in the past. Name of the committee which has recommended changes on arbitration and conciliation, that can also be asked. So B.H. Sri Krishna, you need to remember this. And third is, what are the features of this bill that has been brought into parliament now. So that can also be asked in the examination, the bills, the provisions or the rules related to the bill that has been introduced. The next one that we have is going to talk about an additional installment of DNS allowance to only central government employees and not state government employees. So remember this. So DNS allowance has been increased, or the increment in DNS allowance has been increased from 5% to 7% now. It was 5%, the rate was 5% of basic pay or pension with every pay commission, but now it has been increased to 7% with an increment of further 2% over 5%. So this can also be asked in the examination. So the new rate is going to be 7%, but the increment or addition is of 2%. So you need to be clear about this. Questions can be framed on both these lines. What is the new rate or what is the increment? Revision of limits of cap for spectrum holding. Very factual question, can be asked in the examination, both RBI and NABARD. The overall spectrum cap is revised from the current limit of 25 to 35%. The current intra-band cap is removed. So if you are buying certain intra-band in a super band of 1 gigahertz, if you are buying 700 megahertz, 800 megahertz, 900 megahertz bands, then there is no limit. Instead, there is a cap of 50% on the combined spectrum holding in the sub 1 gigahertz band. So there is a combined cap of 50%, but intra-band cap of, let's say, 10% on 700, 10% on 800, 15% on 900, that has been removed. There will be no cap for individual or combined spectrum holding in the above 1 gigahertz band. So this question is important, very important for RBI and NABARD, and can also be asked in UPSC phase 1 or UPSC prelims, because such questions have been asked by UPSC also at various moments in their examination over a period of time, and therefore it's important that you have a clarity about what are the changes that have been made in spectrum holding. So this is the entire change that has been made in the spectrum holding related to limits on cap. The next one that we have is also a bill. The bill is called Commercial Courts, Commercial Division and Commercial Appellate Division of High Courts Bill 2018. It has been approved by the Cabinet for introduction in the Parliament. What are the features of this bill? Let's go through them. There are only two specific features, and only one out of that is very important. The bill brings down the specific value of commercial dispute to 3 lakh. Now this 3 lakh is not the maximum value. This 3 lakh is the minimum value. That is, if you want to go to a commercial court or a commercial division, or make an appeal in a commercial division, then the dispute should be at least of rupees 3 lakh. It was 1 crore before, now it has been reduced to 3 lakh. The amendment provides for establishment of commercial courts at district judge level. This is new. The courts before this were not available at district judge level. Now they have been introduced at district judge level for certain territories. The next is Swatantra Sainik Samman Yojana. Now this is an old scheme, old Yojana, which was introduced in the year 1980 by the government in order to provide monthly Samman or monthly honor to the freedom fighters. But now it has been extended for another 3 years from 2017 to 2020. So this is all that we need to remember about this. Women Entrepreneurship Platform theme song. So there was a platform created for women entrepreneurship. A festival was organized in Delhi, and a theme song was created by Kailash Kher, and the name of the theme song was Nari Shakti. Now such questions are not asked in UPSC, but in NABARD and RBI phase 1 specifically, such questions can be asked. Recent important change in the name of ministers. So TDP minister Pashupati Gajpati Raju has resigned as Minister of Civil Aviation, and Suresh Prabhu has been given additional charge as Minister of Civil Aviation. So this question can be asked in phase 1 specifically of RBI or NABARD, wherein they can ask who is the present Minister of Civil Aviation, because it's a recent change, it's a sudden change, and therefore this question can be asked. You need to be aware about all the ministers and the charges that they hold, but if there is any sudden change or recent change, then that becomes more important. The next one that we have relates to women empowerment or the condition of women, specifically for minorities. A recent survey has said that the school dropout rate among Muslim girls has reduced to about 40%. These are the schemes which are specific for Minorities in India, Hunar Haat, Seekho Aur Kamao, Nai Manzil, Garib Nawaz, Skill Development, and Nai Roshni. These are all steps that have been taken, of schemes that have been launched for skill development of minorities. Next is India has gifted Bhabatron, which is a cancer therapy machine, indigenous cancer therapy machine created by India, to Madagascar. Very important factual that can be asked in the examination, specifically RBI and NABARD. The urea subsidy scheme was amended in the year 2015, wherein 100% neem coated urea was made mandatory. Now this scheme has been expanded or extended to 1920 with an estimated cost of 1,64,000 crore over these 3 years and not 1 year. This decision implies that there will be no increase in price of urea till 2020. Very important factual information again for RBI and NABARD. Urea, we saw largest or highest ever production in the year 2015-16 of 245 LMT. Let's talk about gross enrollment ratio and go through certain facts which are very important for both RBI and NABARD, both phase 1 as well as phase 2. India has the third largest education system in the world, but our gross enrollment or GER is still very low at 25%. So this number is important, and the target is to bring it or take it to 30% minimum by the year 2020. Presently, Tamil Nadu has achieved the highest gross enrollment ratio of 46.9% as per Human Resource Development Survey. Now, it's important to remember here that Kerala does not have the highest gross enrollment ratio. You might feel that, or you might think, or you might play with the fluke that Kerala should have a highest gross enrollment ratio because the literacy rate in the state is highest. But the answer is Tamil Nadu for gross enrollment ratio at 46.9%. 105 or 105th Indian Science Congress was recently held in March 2018 in the state Manipur. Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, PMMVY. Let's go through certain features of this Yojana. Although we have covered the same in government schemes also, but I am anyways going through these features again so that you can revise. More than 17 lakh beneficiaries have been enrolled till now. This amount is not very important, therefore it's not highlighted. Eligible beneficiaries under Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana under their maternity benefit scheme will get rupees 5,000 and the remaining as a cash incentive as per approved norms, so that the average for every woman is 6,000. So the average of every woman is 6,000, wherein 5,000 is fixed and the remaining is going to be provided as a cash incentive. It is a maternity benefits scheme under Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Operation Greens, this has been discussed in the budget video also, and therefore you can refer to that video in order to read in detail about or know in detail about Operation Greens. Will be beneficial for specifically for horticulture and vegetables, that is fruits, vegetables, tomato, onion and potato. So vegetables, horticulture, the entire horticulture industry is targeted through Operation Greens. So this is all for PIB and business newspaper analysis for 11th to 15th March 2018. Very soon we are going to talk about PIB and business newspaper for the future dates, that is 16th to probably 20th or 25th March in one go.